Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. This time it's just going to be a little bit more chilled out, and I'm going to be having a bit of a talk about the Warlords of Draenor Alpha, the apparent delay, and really just what's going on, because I feel like there probably hasn't been a giant amount of communication from Blizzard on the issue, but, you know, Zarm's sort of tweeted a few times yesterday about it, and I think it would just be worth putting everything out, telling everyone what the crack is, and then actually just explaining what an alpha is, what a beta is, and, you know, just talking about kind of, you know, diving deep, talking about things. So first of all, why is it delayed? Well, Zarhim has been tweeting recently, and basically the first thing that he said is that one of the reasons why they have sort of delayed the alpha is that they want to start integrating garrisons and various other things like that more into the questing experience. Now, this is actually kind of interesting because it seems like a recent development, in a way. This whole, you know, sort of ultra integration of the garrisons into the questing and the zones, and maybe that has delayed things a little bit. What Zarhim did say is that they wanted to have the garrison integration done by the time that you know, the players and basically non-Blizzard employees were in. And when the original alpha was announced and, you know, released onto the Battle.net launcher for Blizzard employees, they said that it is actually very far along, but the one thing that they don't have is garrisons. So I think that if we're to take Blizzard at face value, and I think there's certainly a very heavy element of truth in what they're saying, that yeah, it certainly could be that they're just looking to get the garrisons a little bit more intertwined. Now, there is a bit more of a cynical sort of approach to things, I guess, and that is, you know, the timing in with other games. The first blog about the alpha was on the 3rd of April, and it was, what, a month and a half ago? Right, so it's been quite a while. But that was on the 3rd of April, and oddly enough, that's also when Elder Scrolls Online came out, like, on the day. And, you know, it's kind of hard to buy that they're not timing these with other games. And I know they're not going to flat out say we did it, but, well, okay, they did. They are going to flat out say that they're not timing things with other games. Zarhim actually said, and I quote, his quote starts here, "Flat out, our production schedule and milestones are far more important than whatever else is happening in the industry." Well, first of all, I'm just going to say, to me, yes, what Blizzard is doing is far more important than well, many people in the industry. I think that WildStar are probably pushing a few key innovations and things like that Blizzard could certainly learn from, but overall, you know, I care the most about Blizzard. I care the most about Warcraft and what's going on there. But, you gotta think to yourself, is there just something going on here, you know? Is there like this delay that's happening so that when the 3rd of June comes out, they can roll out the alpha? Well, I don't particularly think so. I don't think they take the PR hit of that 2-month break. I think ideally what would have happened is that they saw Elder Scrolls Online as being the bigger threat, which is kind of hilarious now that I think about it. I mean, come on, Blizzard, did none of you guys play the ESO beta? We all knew it would be shit, and guess what? It was. Okay, not shit, but I think when you're talking about an MMO and when your competition is either A, Skyrim, or B, World of Warcraft, then your game cannot be mediocre. It has to be excellent. And they didn't hit that mark. But I think probably what happened is that Blizzard saw ESO coming out on the 3rd, they knew there's a lot of hype around that, so they thought, right, we'll announce the alpha, you know, we'll put our teams working really hard trying to get the public version out, but we'll make the initial announcement here on the 3rd of April. I think that's what happened. But of course, because of this garrison issue and a few other things, production schedule slipped a little bit, and they're a little bit behind schedule. But honestly, I think that what they will most likely do is that they will wait until June the 3rd, until the release of WildStar, to start talking about the alpha, or maybe even releasing it. And I don't think they're going to do that because it was their flat-out primary sort of decision or goal. Honestly, I think maybe, let's just say they finished up the public test build on the 25th of April. Well, I think what they would do in that case is just wait, or not April, May, sorry. You know, if they finish it up at the very end of May, I think they would probably just wait the extra few days until the start of June, so that they can at least tackle the WildStar release with something. I think that might be what's happening. But, like, I just thought it was worth having a bit of a chat about the alpha delay. Now, let's just sort of bring things into a little bit more of a personal thing. I'll talk about how this is kind of I don't want to say affecting me, but it'll just be, I don't know, want to talk. I want to talk, so I'm talking. Right. Basically, the last few months have been completely on edge and not stressed out as hell, but a little bit, because it's funny with these alphas and things like that. You need to be ready to drop whatever you're doing, you know, at any time. So, one of the things is my dad is, on the 7th of July, he's 60. So, of course, we'll be, well, I don't want to say what we'll be doing, because I don't know, well, he'll never watch this. We're thinking of going to Reykjavik again in Iceland, because... Listen, Iceland, it's seriously, of all the places I've been to America, many places in Europe, and I'll take Iceland over any of them. I'm not even an outdoors guy. But anyway, we're going there and sometime around his birthday, and I'll tell you one thing, right? If the alpha comes out during that weekend, I'll just explode. You'll get no videos from me, because I will have just exploded, which will be fine. But anyway, the 3rd of June would be ideal, it'll be right after my exam, so hopefully Blizzard are planning on tackling that WildStar release date, and that would make me very happy, because, like, I'd literally be at home and ready to work, which would be kind of fantastic. So, what other things can we talk about in relation to this old alpha? Well, I guess it's probably worth just sort of explaining to people what an alpha is and what these sort of various stages of software development are. And the reason I'm going to do this is because, honestly, the meaning of alpha and the meaning of beta have been kind of changed and, you know, morphed up and stuff over the last while. So, traditionally, what an alpha is like the very first build that sort of kind of maybe works but has got a crap ton of bugs and just is not ready for the public. So I think having a public alpha it's nearly like an oxymoron, but I think that because the alpha is going to be very much limited, I imagine, to press people and that kind of thing, it's still going to be private enough, I suppose. But then a beta is a bit more polished. It's ready to go out to wide testing. They've got most of the features complete, but in the beta generally that's when you want to hone in on bugs and actually get your kind of rough development build polished up to the point where it can be released as a product that won't have bugs and all that kind of stuff. And I think the reason why they're going to release this initially as a technical alpha, by the way, technical alpha, that's a new word. All alphas are technical. Yeah, so the reason why they're going to do this public alpha is because I think they're going to polish a certain degree that people, like maybe myself, if they see fit to give me a key, or, you know, access, will be able to, you know, show to people. But I think there's still going to be a lot of things they need to work on. It's funny, actually, with this expansion, it seems like they're really cutting it close with the work. Like, really close, you know? I mean, yeah, like, I would have expected a beta now. Mists came out in September, and its beta/alpha was in May, or was it either May or April? Though that said, I think that they do have something which I could play right now and make videos on, and it could be cool. They do have that, because that's what their employees are playing. They have a version of Warlords of Draenor that just doesn't have the full-on integration with garrisons and the leveling experience, but for the most part, I think, you know, their initial zones and that kind of thing are probably doing quite well. I actually know that just from what people have said at BlizzCon and from when I watched one of those, there's like this stream, basically this guy lived near PAX, and he got a PAX key, or he got like, yeah, PAX, they were giving out free keys. Now, what actually happened is that PAX key gave him access to the game. I think he got up to level 93, but just looking around at Frostfire Rage, that looked like a zone I could just go into right now and play and level up in and have a good time. And it looked great as well, it really did look great. So, I think that there's definitely enough there for us to work on, but they just want to get this whole situation with the garrisons fixed. And this brings me on to another point, right? So, I've heard that they've done significant tweaking to the first two zones. You know, sort of sprucing them up since the BlizzCon build, because I think some people, especially also at the press events, the very early ones, had a little bit of maybe not so 100% positive feedback for Blizzard on them, so they edited them up a little bit, and it just reminded me that back with Mists of Pandaria, the Jade Forest, at least in its initial incarnation, had some very mixed feedback. Well, we'll just say that. You know, people weren't really too pumped for it when they got into that extremely public beta and started playing it. So that's it's a bit of it's a bit of a concern for Blizzard. They don't want that to happen again, because I'd imagine that it didn't give Mists of Pandaria a great start in terms of public opinion. I mean, it's weird actually, looking back at some of the videos on the Blizzard YouTube page, the amount of dislikes on the Pandaria stuff's crazy. You know, the videos they have that show off the interior of a dungeon, where the art is beautiful. It's really well crafted. I'll still maintain that I think that aesthetically many of the dungeons in Pandaria, especially the very Chinese-themed ones, looked fantastic. Okay, things like the Black Ox Temple and the Klaxi places, they were boring as hell. I didn't like them, but, you know, Jade Temple, Mogushan Vault, not Mogushan Vaults, you know, the place that had Weapon Master Sin as the final boss, they looked beautiful to me. I thought they were great. They certainly deserve my thumbs up in those videos, yet the dislike to like ratio was so bad, and I think, I'm just wondering, could, like, public perception based on some early beta woes be an issue? Not 100% sure, but it definitely seems like they're concerned about not having an extremely, well, a well-polished and very presentable product come out first. I guess the Blizzard are probably large enough to test most of this on their own, and really, it's a PR machine thing in a way. I think the real ultra-technical alpha is happening right now with their staff playing the game, but once it hits beta, well, once it hits alpha, honestly, because they're only going to be, well, most likely, taking in press people, I guess half of that's going to be, yeah, valuable testing, and then crowdsourcing feedback from people, but I also think perhaps there's definitely a PR element to it there, and that's fair enough, actually. That is fair enough. It's interesting. But I think that overall, they want to avoid the problems of Mists of Pandaria. I think that in Mists, like, they had an ultra-public beta, you know, loads of people got into the game, they leveled up characters, some people even hit level 90, and then they just did the same thing again when the game came out, and I think that some of the really heavy drop-offs, you know, from the start of Pandaria to 5.1/5.2, could be attributed to that. Also, I think daily quests, or at least the perceived requirement to do dailies, probably sort of led to that as well. Definitely odd. I'm looking forward to this alpha. I think it's going to be really polished. I think they're going to have some really cool stuff to show us, in fact. And I certainly am looking forward to it a lot. It's just a question of when. Honestly, if I'm going to say when, look, the most likely date's probably the 3rd of June. But maybe they're just, you know what, maybe they'll make it the 6th of June, just to say, oh hey, look, we didn't time it. We didn't time it for WildStar, haha. I don't know, but it's an interesting discussion. We'll have to see how it goes. And, yeah, look, all I can say is, you know, stay tuned until when the alpha comes. You know, I'll be really hammering out the videos, if I get in. Hopefully I'll get in. You know, honestly, it would kind of crush me if I didn't, because it's a part of the thing, you know, with YouTube, I sort of need to get myself into that alpha. So yeah, I'll just send Zarhim, I don't know, nice Bushmills whiskey from it's, you know, very reputable brand of whiskey from a place where I know that, and loads of muffin baskets, and, you know, all those nice things. A little bit of bribery, we cheeky wee bribe, you know, on the side. Get myself an alpha key, it'll be great. Anyway, so there's that. Now, until the alpha comes out, there is a little bit of a weird sort of ebb and flow of information, you know? Not ebb and flow, it's like, it's very slow. But it certainly is there, you know? Every week we get a new announcement or a new thing. And that's fair enough. I suppose the Blizzard are really just, and they're just trying to pace it out as well as they can. But of course, from a video making perspective, it means that, well, I'm kind of going from a position where I was able to make a news-related video nearly daily. Now that's down to weekly. And you probably notice I've got my news/WoW daily videos. You know, they're kind of the bread and butter. You can see nearly one of them every day on the channel. That's fine, but it's just not possible or feasible to make those every day now because there's not enough to talk about. So there are probably going to be some days where it's only one video, a secondary video, maybe class impressions, a lore video, you know, a transmog video, something like that, a guide. Because if I was putting those out 2 a day, I'd honestly just run out of things to do videos on, and that would put the channel in a very bad place. Like right now, I'm definitely going at a sustainable rate. I know how much content there is that I could possibly do, and I'm pacing things around that. But yeah, until the alpha comes out, I don't know what's gonna really happen. You'll get a video a day, absolutely, and hopefully 2 every day, if I can kind of muster that out of whatever sort of small amount of information that we get. Anyway, so that's it. I know this has been a bit of a rambly video, but I just thought it was good to tackle some of these issues in a way that was, you know, not a 3-minute long, ultra-scripted thingy. And hey, it's just interesting to at least look at the alpha process, and this does, like, it does give us a little bit of insight into what's going on at Blizzard, in that I think they are, quite honestly, just a little bit scared about the whole thing. Not scared, but they're in a rush. I think they know that they've maybe overpromised a little bit too much, which look, they do that, but they're people overpromise. It's not a malicious thing, I don't think. But they're definitely aware that they promised a lot of people, they promised things coming out fast, you know, a fast alpha, fast beta, you know, quick release, but it's panned out that that's not really going to happen. And it seems like a lot of that stuff's at the foot of Garrisons, which I suppose is probably what you'd expect. After all, it is the big new feature, and it's probably worth them getting that right. Because I think Garrisons are what could just give a little bit more kind of meat to the casual endgame for people who don't enjoy raiding. You know, because often, like, you just kind of, you do your LFR, and then you got nothing. Well, now you got Garrisons to chew on for a while, and that should be cool. Anyway, I think that's why they're delaying all the stuff. That's it for today's, this video. I don't know if there'll be a second one today. Well, look at the channel, you'll probably notice if there is one. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed it. Leave any comments or that kind of thing in the video description, and the video comments, not description, and I will see you next time.